This is it, folks. Make or break for the World Championship of Junior Drivers in the FIA karting paddock. Here we go. Formation lap begins, and the drivers will set off for a very tough race in front of them. It's going to be the toughest race of the year, and it's only just right that they do so for the FIA Karting Junior Championship of the World. David Walter and Thomas Stolchemanis on the front row of the starting grid. Then behind them, it is Marcus Slater and Keanu Alazzari, James Igozzi and Max Popov, from Rennie Lammers, Alex Powell, Kian Nakamura Berta and Maxim Rem, Ian Eichmans, Anatoly Kovalkin, Freddie Slater, Dion Gauda, Jonathan Waywat, Jimmy Helias, Akshay Bora and Matthias Ferreira.
Then we have Lucas Amelisto and Enzo Dellini, followed by Kirill Kuskov, Dimitri Madvev, Arthur Torisson, Kai Sorensen, Jude Donozzo, Arthur Poulain, Miguel Costa, Jens Streur, Edgar Ampilogov, Daniel Valberg, Aaron Garcia Lopez, Enzo Tanvanishkul, Jan Pirizowski, Alexander Bondarev, Maxim Orlov, and Oscar Wurz. Everybody leaving the pre-grid. Thomas Stolchemanis actually was a bit late joining the party, as his mechanic had to push him quite a bit for him to start, but is right there in the mix with us. He's going to try to take his position as soon as possible, as the drivers are going to have now one more lap to get the tires up to temperatures as much as they can in those very slippery conditions. And if you just join us right now, let's keep a good eye on the turn number one, because we've seen in one of the last qualifying heats of the day one of the top contenders that we should have expected at the forefront, James Igozzi, going all the way off the track because of a lack of grip. And lack of grip, there's certainly that in coming into turn number one. So let's see what's going to happen, even though they have the good tires this time around, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. But within a furious pack of 36 competitors, this is some sort of other business.
Well, watching them on their formation laps at the moment, they only get 2 around the circuit before we form up and go racing. But watching them on the formation lap, there is a tiny bit of spray coming up the tyres, but not a lot in all honesty. So this is definitely going to be the toughest 16 laps of these young racing drivers' career, because it isn't fully slick, it isn't fully wet. They're going to have so much to contend with as they battle for supremacy on this circuit. It really will be a test of the might and mettle of the competitors as they race for position. So we're going to have a really exciting run as they battle for position. So David Walter, the Danish driver, in pole position. Second place, Thomas Stolchemanis of Latvia for the Energy Course team. Marcus Slater, the Norwegian, for Ward Racing. Keanu Alazzari, the German, who lives out in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, for the Tony Kart Racing team. Then James Igozzi of the United States, his teammate at Tony Kart. And then in 6th position, Max Popov, having a very solid run. So now we are getting ourselves ready for the action. Lammers and Powell, Nakamura and Rem will be in that top 10 as well. Then Eichmans, Kovalkin, Slater and Gauda, Waywat and Helias, Bora and Ferreira, Samalisto and Deligny, Kutskov, Matveev, Dorisson, Sorensen, Dezono, Poulain, Costa, Trua, Ampiligov, Valberg, Garcia, Tanvanishkul, Pisodovsky, Bondarev, Orlov and Wurz. And they will come off the final turn now. And let's see who is going to become our 2021 FIA Karting Junior World Champion. Are we green? No, we are going to go round again.
And here we go. This is already getting the tension up level. Actually, we're going to go for an extra formation lap. So the grid was entirely formatted. Our race director, Nigel Edwards, decided otherwise. No, young boys, we go for another lap. So make sure for the second attempt to get it together, as this is down to David Walter, the pole sitter, to try to resist the pressure as well as the temptation to accelerate the first. He has to pace himself down in order for the others to join the party, to get the grid formatted quite good enough. But no easy task at all, especially since the track and the tarmac is very, very slippery. So there's a million things that must be going through his head right now, his mind, under the helmet. But he has to keep the focus to himself, to keep himself within that little bubble of his, from pole position. But Thomas Stolchemanis will be around the outside at the forefront. So let's see if David Walter, coming to turn number one, will be able to get a good getaway and shut that door on both sides, because the first sector of the track is certainly one of the most crucial in order to get your race going. This is the longest that those young drivers are going to have to face, 16 laps in total, as we have an average of 7 laps through the qualifying heats. So there's a lot to take for those youngsters, as hopefully the rain will stay away from the track as for now, allowing the racing line to dry up. But you can see the drivers waving in no excess to get the tires up to temperatures, crossing the red line that you can see with the cones. This is where actually the grid needs to start forming itself. So this is where David Walter has to pace everybody down in the last 2 corners. Are we gonna be good to go this time around?
It's going to be tricky to know who's going to have this from the start. David Walter will have so much pressure on his shoulders heading to the first apex. Is he going to be able to hold it to turn one? They come off the final turn. They're on the tram lines. Ready, go! Up to the first corner. Good start for David Walter. Stolchamanis is right up and alongside as they tiptoe their way through the first corner. Everybody's trying to keep it nicely together. And Keanu Alazari's in the stones. Powell goes wide as well. They both filter back in, but Alazari is way down the order. Not a great start for him. Stolchamanis is tucked up behind Walter. Saito in third place. Nakamura Berta losing out initially as through comes James Igotzi to move up into fourth position as the field tucks its way through. There's a couple of carts off the road. One of the Kart Republics is walking away. Now, is that Matias Ferreira in the middle of the field? I think it is. It's Ferreira. Ferreira has come off the road. He is out of the Junior World Championship on the first lap. What a disaster for Matias Ferreira. He's done so well this season, but it's game over for him.
There we go for the first of 16 laps. A great start from David Walter, linking Thomas Stolsemanis and Marcus Slater. The top three unchanged as for now. Into turn number 11, the second hairpin of the track. A lot of overtaking opportunities. Change for the lead already. Thomas Stolsemanis is getting ahead and taking maybe Marcus Slater with him. Watch out for David Walter. He stays in second, but already into the opening lap. There comes the energy driver. The first attack, and it was a success. Thomas Stolsemanis leads the World Championship. David Walter, can he actually fight back into the chicane? He has to stay behind, but Marcus Slater was a bit short to dive into the gap, but he's gonna have to stay third. But for how long can he go around the inside? And David Walter shuts the door. This is the battle starting for the World Championship already.
Game over in the final corner. I think Jimmy Helias has gone around. So Jimmy Helias, the very talented Frenchman, is out of the race. There is his car being moved away, and it looks as though we've lost Arte Dorisson down to the back of the field along with Enzo Deligny. Here comes the battle as Freddie Slater's trying to work his way up through the order, and he has done so. He's got past Max Popov. So Stolchamanis leads. Walter in second. Saito, Nakamura and Slater. Slater still hanging on from Popov, who tries to hang back, and that's enough for Ian Eichmanns to stretch his legs and come through. Jonathan Waywat has moved up past them as well. Waywat is through past Popov. Eichmanns is going to dive in the hairpin, and he's through. Great move from Ian Eichmanns. Nobody overtakes in that hairpin, but he has done an incredible job to slide the kart up the inside and make the move, and now he's already got designs on Jonathan Waywat's position, but Freddie Slater is up into fifth position, chasing down Kia Nakamura Berta. And before the race, he said to me, I'm going to give you a show. You better be watching, because he is definitely going to be trying his best to make it back-to-back world titles. But with Ian Eichmanns on the charge, trying desperately to hold on in front of Max Popov, this is going to be a tough battle right to the last. Stolchamanis, Walter, Saito, Nakamura Berta, and he's battling with Slater as he comes out of the final turn. Slater's got Nakamura Berta on the run. Into turn one, he could go for the overtaking move. He's there. Can he hold it as he comes through? The answer is just.
Whoa!
Goodness me, that was very close.
That was tight, and Niki Nakamura Berta came close to enough, but was able to hold it onto the line, onto the curb. But that is another place taken by Freddie Slater. Is up into the top four already, and that's what he needs to do as soon as possible in the opening stages of this race. Try to make as much ground as he can, and one driver out of this race. Is it Kirill Ditsiev, unfortunately, who's no longer to be seen? Let's try to see that in a moment, but this is game over for this young driver, unfortunately. This is Kirill Kutskov, actually. Kirill Kutskov out of this race. He was running in 18th place, trying to make up some ground, but this is game over already for young Kirill Kutskov.
What a shame. Kutskov has been a real star performer this season, and it just hasn't gone his way at all in this World Championship final. Oh, James Igotzi is out! James Igotzi, the man who dominated yesterday. James Igotzi is in the pit lane, walking his kart in. Such a shame for the American. It looked like it was going to be his day after the evening. But James Igotzi, what a shame for the American, as now Nakamura Berta storms up the inside of Saito just after Freddie Slater has managed to do so. So now we've got Stolchamanis leading, Walter in second, Slater is third, then it is Kia Nakamura Berta in front of Marcus Saito, and then it is Waywat, Eichmanns, Kovalkin, Popov and René Lammers ahead of Keanu Alazari, who has fought back majestically to 11th place just in front of Alex Powell.
Yeah, fantastic effort indeed for Keanu Alazari. Let's keep an eye on that as well as they make their way into turn number 5, Kia Nakamura Berta. And watch out, this is the 103K. Ian Eichmanns diving around the inside of Jonathan Waywat, who didn't see this coming. Beautifully made for the young Belgian, making another place. He's now in 6th.
We've got to spin up the hill. Sorry, Guillaume. We've got to spin up in the top end of the field. Now that is Keanu Alazari. Alazari has gone. Oh, my goodness. Keanu Alazari so close to the top step of the podium in the World Championship. And it's bitter disappointment. He fought back beautifully to get back into the hunt for the top 10. And it's all come undone. Well, you have to give him full credit for trying. He has been one of the stars of this weekend, and I'm sure when he goes up to senior next year, he is going to be a hunter for the top grade. But it's such an unfortunate end for his weekend as well.
Can you imagine in the course of 4 laps with last 3 big names actually, in Kinner Lazari, James Segozzi, Matheus Ferreira, all had to retire. It actually went from fantastic to worst for James Segozzi, who won 4 qualifying heats but lost everything, as now is out of the World Championship for good.
Here comes Slater up the inside. No way, as we got 2 more in trouble. Slater thought he had the move and it's not going to happen. But that was Daniel Wahlberg, I think, who's clashed in the final hairpin. Now Daniel Wahlberg has come off the road and he's come together with Enzo Tanvanichkul. Slater dicing with David Walter as they bang wheels through the first sector. David Walter is not going to let Freddie Slater through if he can help it, but Slater will slide on the inside. What a move from the reigning world champion, who wants to make it 2, as Slater has to defend valiantly from Walter trying to fight back. Freddie Slater now into second place. I do wonder, I'm looking at his front fairing, is that a little bit low? No wonder he's pushing, because he needs to get out in front of Thomas Stolchemanis and pull out a gap. He's still got a chance to do it if that's the case.
It's not quite clear yet indeed, but what's clear is the move is done beautifully indeed for Freddie Slater, upper place in second. Now the charge is on, and the next spray, his name is Thomas Stolchemanis, your leader from Energy. He's been at the front since the start of the race, since the opening lap, but now maybe he's not aware of it quite yet, but he's going to look over his shoulder to see who is next behind. This is Freddie Slater. Hammer time for the young British driver. Let's see what he can do, but they are split by 1 second, now down to 7/10, 4/10 of a second now for Freddie Slater, who's coming back like a lion on the tail of Thomas Stolchemanis. This is lap number 6 out of 16. Still a long way to go before the checkered flag. Stolchemanis looking a bit over his shoulder. He sees Slater actually coming his way too fast actually to his own personal pace.
Here he goes!
There he goes!
Unbelievable! Freddie Slater slams it up the inside from nowhere, and on lap 6 of the World Championship final, Freddie Slater hits the front. Absolutely phenomenal. He was amazing last year. This year, he has shifted it up another gear. After his DNF yesterday, his heart was in his boots, and now he has fought back valiantly, and he's already stretching away from Thomas Stolchemanis.
Wow, what a pace that is from Freddie Slater, climbing through the ranks.
Nakamura coming through to third. He's trying to get past David Walter. He's lost it on the exit. Walter gets back into third position. Nakamura defending valiantly.
And in the meantime, the sun is bursting through the clouds, so that means that the racing line is going to start drying out quite slowly but firmly, as we have the battle with Walter under pressure now from Kin Nakamura just behind in fourth. Marcus Sato dropped all the way down to fifth with a 3.8 second from Freddie Slater. He's losing ground after ground, 1.6 on Kin Nakamura. So we found for Marcus Sato, it's hard to swallow actually for one of the young revelations of this weekend, but is out of the fight, at least for now, when it comes to the world title. It's going to come down to 4 young gladiators with Slater, Stolchemanis, Walter and Kin Nakamura pretty much in the same picture in turn number 5. But who out of the 4 can actually seal the deal at the end of the race? Freddie Slater seems to have the advantage now with the pace he's been showing, but we still have a long way to go before a checkered flag. Anything can happen, especially if the conditions get better, but they're still on wet tires. If the racing line gets too much dry, which it won't be until the end of the race because it's already very wet. So I don't see this drying too quickly, but still it's going to be, more and more challenging for those young drivers to keep it steady. And Kin Nakamura for the back, Freddie Slater is moving to third place. Oh, there was a bit of wheel touching over there. It was aggressive, but he made that stick beautifully. Kin Nakamura goes to third.
Yeah, Nakamura forcing the issue up the inside of David Walter to move the Japanese driver into third position. A great opportunity for him to climb the podium, and that's going to be, I'm fairly sure if he does manage to do that, he'll be the first Japanese driver in the junior category to climb the podium for many a year if he can manage to finish this off. So that would be a massive accolade for him if he can get the job done. It certainly would be the first Japanese driver this century to be on a Junior World Championship podium. So that is a massive accolade for him if he can get it done. But oh goodness me, this is very tight now at the sharp end of the field. All sorts of ramifications for Freddie Slater leading this race. Nobody has ever won back-to-back Junior World Championships. Only Andrea Gilardi has won back-to-back World Cups as a junior in 84 and 85, beating none the least of Ivan Muller and Michael Schumacher back in the day. but this is Freddie Slater's chance to make history as a double world junior champion, and he is stretching his legs away from Thomas Stoltemanis. The gap is up to 1.6. I'm not sure if that front fairing is loose, but if he does pull over 5 seconds clear, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen for the battle for second, because with 1.7 second advantage, this young man on your picture trying to work a bit on his carburetor as well as engine, and is pulling away in turn number 14, still fighting a bit with his wheel, but with a more than 2 second advantage. Unless anything happens to him, I don't see anyone trying to catch up with Freddie Slater. So Stoltemanis, King Nakamura, David Walter still split by just a couple of tenths of a second, way away from Anatoly Kovalkin down in 5th. He just made his way past Marcus Sater down in 6th. Then we have Maximilian Popov in 7. Powell is 8th in front of Ian Hickmans. And Jonathan Weymouth, unfortunately, the RS competition driver, dropped all the way down to 10th. He still has something to say in this race. As further back, Chuto Nozzo having one of the races of his young career with a 13th place climb all the way up to 12. He just made his move past Dimitri Matveev, who just did as well on René Lammers down in 13 and 14. So those conditions actually go the way of some of the drivers within the midfield, as Thomas Stoltemanis is still holding to second place as the sun is back here in Campillos. That will certainly give a hand to some of the drivers here, but the battle for second place is raging. Stoltemanis has the upper hand as for now, but we've seen good pace put together by King Nakamura, very much on the tail of the energy driver.
This is the kind of weather conditions that Kian Nakamura excels in. We've been watching him as he's raced in the British leagues for the last few seasons, and he won a Miami World title a couple of seasons ago at Le Mans. Here he is as he dives up the inside of Stoltemanis. Stoltemanis will get him straight back again on the switch, but now Nakamura is a serious threat to the Latvian, and he knows it. So the Latvian's going to have to work hard to keep Nakamura at bay. And of course, this is all playing into the hands of Freddie Slater as the gap increases to 3.3 at just beyond half distance. 7 laps to go, and Freddie Slater just needs to keep on leading the way out front and allow Stoltemanis and Nakamura to battle with David Walter, and the race will fall to him. I'm not so sure about that front fairing, but from Freddie Slater's point of view, if he extends beyond 5 seconds, he can still take a penalty and still win this World Championship. So that's got to be his objective. Pull out a lead, disappear, divide and conquer.
Yeah, he's been putting qualifying lap after qualifying lap up in the lead, taking advantage of the fight between those two, and there's, unfortunately for them, no more chances to catch up. So all the hopes of a world title for this year has fallen apart, but there's still chances well open for a podium. King Nakamura run inside. Can he make that stick? There's going to be tight indeed, but Nakamura goes out and takes second place in front of Stoltemanis. He has a couple of occasions to fight back the energy driver, but it stays behind. And watch out, because David Walter might want to do the same. He's a bit further back, the Koski driver. Too far right now to launch an attack, but beautifully made. Well done to Kin Nakamura on his way to second place.
A really good drive this from Kin Nakamura, one of his best yet. But across the line, Freddie Slater is going to extend his lead again. 6 laps to go. The gap is going to be just under 5 seconds very soon indeed. It is 4.4. It's marginal. We're looking at it on the front fairing of the Ricky Flynn Motorsport car. We're not sure whether that's loose enough to be classified as a loose front fairing or not, but it's certainly marginal. So he's obviously had to try and fight his way forward, but if he can do so whilst also extending the lead, it doesn't make a difference. So it's up to Stoltemanis now to hold on to this third place. He clatters over the curbs, and David Walter of Denmark is starting to reel him in as well. So this could be very interesting as they continue to charge forward. But Freddie Slater leads Kian Nakamura in the FIA Karting World Junior Championship final, as Stoltemanis of Latvia hangs on to David Walter of Denmark as they battle over third. 5th position, Kovalkin. 6th place, Slater. Then Popov, Powell, Dezono and Waywat.
And if Freddie Slater is in trouble indeed with his front fairing, which is something we're not sure of yet, the Kin Nakamura going to for second is not a good news for the British driver, because from 4.4 the gap has dropped to 4.2. So this means that Kin Nakamura is now well away from those two drivers. Thomas Stoltemanis was about to lose another place to David Walter. Run the inside of turn number 14. He has the advantage and is gesturing to Stoltemanis, David Walter. Look at them sliding around the last two corners. Beautiful driving skill from those two. But David Walter is saying to Stoltemanis, let's stay with me, let's keep it together, let's try to catch up as much as we can. But Stoltemanis is having none of it and fights back in turn number 1. What a beautiful ballet this is of driving skills between Stoltemanis Stoltemanis and David Walter all the way to the first sector, climbing into turn number 5. And that's a bit of a two-wide angle, isn't it, for Thomas Stoltemanis, and David Walter takes advantage of it and fights back for second. But Stoltemanis has a better exit if he can make it stick.
He drifts into him off the curb, and a good save from Walter. Stoltemanis is going to come back in on him and take the position away. Walter is fighting back with gusto as they come through the right-hander, down the drop, into the hairpin, and Walter will try and fight back on Stoltemanis. He will feel as though he's been forced off the road, but that was not intentional from Stoltemanis. Now Walter is trying to make his move again in the hairpin, slides through and gets the place back, and here comes Kovalkin. Kovalkin is not quite able to get back past Stoltemanis, but it's very tight between them. Stoltemanis runs deep. Kovalkin is now all over his tail.
Yeah, that's great racing from those youngsters from the junior class as we're getting near checkered flag in a bit more than 4 laps. Watch out for Natalie Kovalkin run inside of Stoltemanis. Another fantastic move from a Paralin driver who's coming out of nowhere pretty much. Stoltemanis losing ground and is catching up with David Walter in the meantime as well. We're going to have a 3-driver battle for 3rd place. The last step of the podium is at stake here, and you could see that Kovalkin is gesturing to Stoltemanis. Stay with me once again, because otherwise we're going to lose contact to David Walter. This is what he expect the young Danish driver to really pull away and secure that podium, but Kovalkin and Stoltemanis still very close as we're getting close as well to the conclusion of this race, as the gap has just went down 4 seconds between Slater and King Nakamura Berta at the moment. So King Nakamura Berta keeps on pushing like hell pretty much in this final to make sure he can catch up. I mean, he doesn't have that much of a time left in his hands to try to do that, but in terms of gap, if indeed the troubles of Freddie Slater are confirmed, this could mean a change at the end of the race.
This is exactly why Nakamura Berta is pushing. All he has to do is be less than 5 seconds behind Freddie Slater, and if his prayers are answered, then it could be the first ever Japanese world champion in the junior ranks of FIA karting. You never really know until the end of the race. So Freddie Slater is doing his best to pull clear, but Nakamura Berta has been eating into that advantage over the course of these last few laps. There goes Kovalkin and Walter, and they drift out wide of the turn. Goodness me, Kovalkin gets the place on David Walter in the end. So he now manages to move up into 3rd place. So that is Anatoly Kovalkin into 3rd place for the Paralin Motorsport team. As down the main straight, we've got Walter in 4th, Stoltemanis in 5th, Slater is in 6th, and Alex Powell, he's closing in on them in 7th place. He's made an incredible comeback, the Jamaican. Goodness knows where he'd be in this race had he been able to stay off the rumble strip on the opening lap. And we've got a retirement. It's Alexander Bondarev. Alexander Bondarev has pulled off the road after a spin in the hairpin by the look of it. He's done his best, but it hasn't quite come to play this time. Now, Slater has responded. He's started to get back onto pace once again. The gap has come back up to 3.9. He's still got to find another second in these next 2.5 laps to be secure. This is not going to be easy.
Yes, indeed, and we have another half, but that was for the Alexander Bondarev, unfortunately, who joins a long list of retired drivers already in this race, including Alazari Valbeck.
Big spin down the hill, sorry. There's been a big spin down the hill. It's one of the Kotskis. I think that might be Dmitry Matveev. So Dmitry Matveev, I think, has spun it down the hill, and that is the end of his race. So he is yet another one. Trying to have a look at that front fairing. There is Dmitry Matveev's kart having pulled off. He's spun off in exactly the same place that we saw Joe Turney and Luca Griggs go yesterday. You can see the front fairing flapping for Freddie Slater. It's not, well, we don't really know. It's hard to tell from this distance. But if he does have an issue, he's still got to find another 9/10 of a second to pull clear of Kia Nakamura Berta to make it back-to-back World Championships. So it's so hard to tell, but it does look a little flappy in the breeze. So maybe, just maybe, this is not done yet. He has got a large advantage over Kia Nakamura Berta, but if he can look after his tyres better in the last 2 laps and extend that gap a further 9/10, then he could just finish the job.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous job all throughout the weekend from Freddie Slater. There's no doubt about that, as we thought that his weekend was over for good after his retirement, but he managed to fight back. Oh, and a bit of enough here for King Nakamura Berta, who keeps on pushing. He's done a tremendous job as well. The young Japanese from Forza Racing on his way to 2nd place. That would be the best result in his young career in the FIA Karting Championships. Fantastic performance as Anatoly Kovalkin, sorry, my apologies, in 3rd place, is on his way to secure the podium as he has a full 1 second advantage on David Walter at the moment, but King Nakamura Berta with the white crash helmet on his way to secure a fantastic performance, climbing 7th place up to 2nd, 9th place climbed as well for Kovalkin. So who could have bet for such a podium at the end of the championship, knowing the amount of contenders on paper and on track that we had?
The last lap of the race, and to be certain of it, Freddie Slater's got to find half a second on Kiya Nakamura Berta in the last lap of the World Championship. This could still go in a very different direction. So, Kiya Nakamura Berta still piling on the pressure, but he made a mistake in the second sector on that last lap. This is Anatoly Kovalkin looking good for a podium in his first attempt at a World Championship final in junior. And he's been absolutely perfect in this final. He really has read the conditions beautifully, driven nicely. Slater gains another 10th on Nakamura Berta. He needs to find another 0.5 of a second in this last part of the lap, but he's been looking after the tyres well. He seems to have good rhythm. Freddie Slater doing everything he can. Nobody has ever been back-to-back junior world champion. We have to see if Freddie Slater's done enough, but certainly in terms of his ability out there, you can't fault him. He is the greatest junior OK driver in this era, as there goes the 124. That's Shooter-Zono out of the race. Here comes Freddie Slater. He's got to find one more 10th out of the final turn and down the straight. Freddie Slater crosses the line on the road. He's done it as far as he's concerned. What's the gap? 4.7. 4.7 is the gap. Oh my goodness, that is very tight indeed. Now he has got to hope and pray that everything is according to plan, but I think he might be all right. Freddie Slater crosses the line, and it's back-to-back wins in the World Championship on the road, and Freddie is celebrating. What a performance! What a drive from Freddie Slater!
Yeah, what a drive indeed for the second year running after a fantastic season in the European Championship. He's been a dominant force to conclude this World Championship. No one has been able to get close to him, and it was the drive of the year for Freddie Slater. But hats off as well to Kiya Nakamura Berta and Anatoly Kovalkin running up the top three at the end of a tremendous final of the World Championship in junior.
Well, provided it's all okay, he has dominated this 2021 season, and even if he has picked up a penalty, you cannot doubt his flawless immaculacy out on the circuit. Freddie Slater from Kiya Nakamura Berta and Anatoly Kovalkin, David Walter and Thomas Stolchemanis from Alex Powell, Marcus Sater and Max Popov, then Jonathan Waywalt, Dion Gauda, Maxim Rem and Kai Sorensen.
Then you have in 13th place Luca Samalisto, followed by Ian Aikmans, Arthur Paulin down in 15 with Aaron Garcia Lopez in 16. 17 is Miguel Costa from Edgar Ampilogov, Akshay Bora in 19, P20 for René Lamers in front of Jason Treur, Jan Pirizolski in 22nd, followed by Maxim Orlov, Oscar Wurt and Enzo Deligny. A long list of retired drivers, 11 of them who had to actually stop on the track. We didn't see the checkered flag. Some big names that we expected at the front. Unfortunate in the end. Matheus Ferreira, Jimmy Elias, James Egorzi, Arthur Dorison, Kirill Kostkov, Enzo Tarvanishkul, Daniel Valber, Kinyo Alazari, Alexander Bondarev, Dimitri Madvev, Jude Onozzo, the last of a long list of retired drivers at the end of this junior final. And you can see here Freddie Slater on your picture after the scale. This has been a tremendous race, but I think he realized already that it's yet to be confirmed.
Well, I can't tell if he's just been told he's won the double World Championship or whether he's got a front fairing. Hard to know. Kiya Nakamura Berta running over to greet his team. But is he the world champion, or is Freddie Slater the junior world champion? That is the tough message to know. James Egorzi. What I don't think so. I think Freddie knows. I think Freddie knows he's got a front fairing. Yeah, there it is. Oh, so close. So close to the double world championship for Freddie Slater. It's yet to be confirmed, but we think that there is a new Japanese junior world champion, and it's Kiya Nakamura Berta. What an incredible display. There is the emotion down in the pit lane for Ricky Flynn Motorsport and Freddie Slater. You can't say he didn't drive his heart out. He deserved to win a double championship title. So close. But how about Kiya Nakamura Berta? He really has been an incredible performer, and he's been under the radar all weekend pretty much, and now he knows it. The Japanese star, Kiya Nakamura Berta, is the new junior world champion.
Yeah, that's a beautiful scene to see, but we're split in emotions as we're happy, of course, for Kid Nakamura Berta, but what a disappointment that is in the end for Freddie Slater, and we have to feel for the Ricky Finn Motorsport team, and Freddie has been putting the work out there. They've been absolutely tremendous, as well as the other junior drivers in this class. Fantastic performance. You can see the congratulations to Kid Nakamura Berta, who's playing in joy as we're going to celebrate the podium of the junior class in just a few moments, but stay with us, everybody, because we have one more final, the OK class, coming your way from 3 o'clock local time here in beautiful Campillos. But we'll leave you for now with some scenes of joy from Kid Nakamura Berta and the Forza Racing team being congratulated indeed by some of his teammates.
That's Guy Sorensen. He's gone over to congratulate his teammate. Oh my goodness. This sport giveth and this sport taketh away. But Forza Racing as a team have been working so hard to get back to the top step of the World Championship after a long hiatus. They've worked very hard. They've got an incredible team of people, a wonderful unit, and now they have a World Championship again. It's been a long time, a long time, but with all of the people that worked with them behind the scenes, with the likes of Billy Munger and all of the incredible members within the Forza Racing team, they've got an astonishing group of people. Jamie Croxford, Stuart Gibson, Javi Ila, Callum Walsh, Stuart Wright, Jack Croxford, Zednek Groman, Roberto Ficini, Alex Gill, Graham Darborn. They're an amazing group of people within that team at Forza, and this is for them.
Can you believe it's been this year, 10 years that this team has been existing, according to Jimmy Croxford back in 2011. That's the first season as the team. So 10 years later, they have won the World Junior Championship in Campillos.
And you couldn't have asked for a nicer young lad to win it either. Kid Nakamura Berta, fabulous challenger. He's been one of the stars of the British cadet racing scene when he moved across from Japan. And now here he is, such an incredible... He's talking to Nikola Tsolov. What a moment for Kid Nakamura Berta. This is such a big moment in a young junior driver's career, and he follows an incredible raft of drivers. Freddie Slater, Thomas ten Brinker, Victor Bernier, Dixter Patterson, Victor Martins, Logan Sargent, Enem Ahmed, Alessio Lorandi, Henry Easthope, and Luca Corberi, Matthew Graham, Charles Leclerc, and Jake Dennis among them. Many great heroes who have conquered the junior title.
And you can see Jamie Croxford, the man on the picture right now, being congratulated. That was nice to see on the left side, Jamie Croxford, the team manager of Forza Racing, with his driver being congratulated. That was nice to see by some of the teams, the member teams of Ricky Finn Motorsport. And that's part of the sport indeed. This can be cruel, racing can be cruel, and it gives joy to some and unfortunately despair to some others.
Yes, Kian, you're the world champion, mate. I'm not sure he can believe it. But fair play to Freddie Slater. Even with the penalty, he does still finish second in the World Championship after he won it last year. But what a great moment this is for Forza Racing, for Kid Nakamura Berta, and for Japan. Here comes Freddie Slater. Well done, buddy. It's a hard one for Freddie to lose here. He did everything right on the road. Just the slightest little thing. This is a big one for Freddie to take. The emotions must be overwhelming for this talented, exceptional young British driver. This is going to be the hardest defeat of his career so far. He almost made history, and certainly on the road, he did what he needed to do. But you know what? He did the right thing. He came in, he took his penalty, he took his plaudits. That is the sportsman's way.